Welcome to Clueless Critics, where we critique, review, and analyze what we may not be qualified to criticize. I'm one half of the podcast, Phil, also known as Void.
And I'm the other half of the podcast, Kyle, also known as Fishgills.
Yeah, we're gonna just like hop into it. Just what we did for the past 2 weeks. It's past 2 weeks. It should have been a week. We tried to record last week. Didn't
We
quite
had
work
some
out.
troubles.
We were just like, you know what? Bump it. We're gonna chill. To you, it's just gonna be a week has gone by since the last podcast update, so it's all good. Just wanted to tell you that. So, past 2 weeks, past 2 weeks has been like ups and downs for personal reasons. Other that for other stuff that I might tell you guys later. I'm gonna keep hinting at that. You might for any of you guys who want relationship advice. Ah! In the words of future Van Dross, chase a check. Anyway,
Mm,
uh, never chase a. Anyway,
we won't go
so
there.
other than that, been keeping busy. Um, actually, today, as of 7/3/2017, July the 3rd, there is a contest going on Twitter where All Hail Music, the people that you know I do art for, are basically trying to get some votes to see if they're going to get a show. Basically, like they're trying to get the last spot on the show. They did a show last Saturday, and evidently I wasn't able to go, but evidently my guy who. As you know him, his art name is Jang. I've known him since fifth grade. Fifth grade. Yeah, gosh, I know that dude for a long time. He did a performance, and evidently he did freaking great. So we're trying to get another performance in, get our name out there, possibly get some money.
Oh, that's good.
Um, which means I get money. So if you want to help your boy out and not be broke,
And when's the date for this?
today, um, I
Until
think it's last time I checked, it was 8 hours. So
oh
I think by
wow,
like
okay.
12, it might be either 12 tonight or 1 a.m. tomorrow. I have no idea. Um, but you probably just want to do it today when we upload this.
Mm.
If not, it's mad appreciated. Just hit up All Hail Music on Instagram and or Music with a Z on Instagram and or Twitter, and just be like, we support you, we love you. Give us a follow. Tell them that Philemon sent you, uh, just so they know who it is. And yeah, um, other than that, I'm still waiting on that dance video that I'm supposed to be doing with a certain person. If he's listening, you know who you are, boy. It's gonna be flames. You know it's going to be flames. Um, and
Okay.
Been doing some poetry. I might put it with some art. Thinking about redoing my schedule on Instagram. I'm probably gonna take a break to like just study because I feel like I've been in production mode, which is gonna be a thing we're gonna talk about later. And production mode is different from learning mode, you know. Um, and then yeah, I think that's really it. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, that's it for me. I think. What about you, Fish? Past two
Well,
weeks.
yeah. Past 2 weeks. So other than practicing and stuff and getting better, there was a an art station challenge that started
Ooh.
recently, and it's the Beyond Human challenge. Basically, you you come up with character designs, environment designs, or a keyframe illustration
Mm.
for a future uh, a future where humans have advanced, or maybe they've gone into a decline or whatever. But basically, it's just come up with a future scenario and create designs based around it. And so it was very vague,
Okay.
but so basically, I spent the past, I don't know, like 4 days or so, like writing, so I could actually
Oh,
come up with
oh, that's
what I
smart.
needed to, yeah, the designs I actually needed to do, and
Yeah.
and collecting reference and everything. And then, I mean, but today and the day before, I actually, got on some fan art of one of the League of Legends characters, just so I can, get a little more illustration practice in.
Okay.
And
Okay.
I, yeah, other than that, it's just, work. That's about it.
Yeah. Nice.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, man.
Yeah. Keeping busy. Gotta always work on that grustle, that grind and hustle, dog. That
Oh
grustle,
my
dog. Hey,
god.
I didn't invent it, dude. Shout outs to Clock Radio Speakers, dope hip hop podcast. Armand Wake Up came up with that one. The
the,
grustle.
the Grussel. Holy crap. That's amazing.
It's so good. It feels like whenever I see that word, it feels like I should be talking about like something on meat. Like
On meat?
he's just like,
Like a
oh, look at that.
texture?
Yeah, like he's just like he just finally cuts off the grustle.
Oh man, that does remind me. I did learn learn something this past weekend
Oh,
about
what?
about you know how you there are words for like really obscure things like you'd never think of. Like
Oh, yeah, 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 yeah,
there's
yeah.
actually a word for that. Well,
Yeah, there's like a word for
for
like every emotion because
e-
humanity's been here for like ever.
everything, right? And I did learn this weekend that
Hmm.
because I
Like
coach baseball and everything, right? There
like
one of
aglet.
what is that?
That's like the loop on the back of your sneakers that you use to pull your thing up.
What?
Yeah,
Okay,
it has a word.
so
Yeah, dude.
okay, so
Aglet,
so
dude.
one of the players I coach, he tucks his baseball pants like under his cleat, so it's actually like it
Like
like
it's
tightens
like a
his pants, right?
so it's like baseball stockings.
Right, right. So what happens is like when he bends his knees, there's what looks like a membrane of pants from his calf up to his back of his thigh. So I was like, you know what
Membrane of
yeah,
pants.
membrane of pants. So it it reminds me of like, bat wings. So I was like, man, I wonder if there's a name for that membrane.
Bat wings. Okay.
Bat wing membrane. And the name for it, I think it's Uropatagium. I'm pretty sure.
Why does this sound like a scientific term for freaking pants?
I don't know.
What?
No, but this is for bat wings. This is
Oh,
the
bat
membrane on
wings.
a bat wing.
I was like, "What? That is too scientific for a dude tucking in his
No, no,
freaking
no, 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 no,
pants."
no, 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 no. My bad. Okay, it's the name for the membrane on a bat's wings. So
Okay.
that's what I learned. I was like,
Okay.
oh, okay. I mean, it's not as crazy as the one you were talking about, the loop on a
Aglet.
shoe, but yeah,
Yeah.
holy crap.
Freaking! I learned that I've learned that off Phineas and Ferb of all things. They had a whole episode where they're like the characters discovered that that thing had a name. No, aglet. Oh no, I'm wrong. I don't think aglet is it. It's either the loop on the back of the shoe or it's that little thing that they got on shoelaces at the tips of the shoelace.
Oh yeah, it's an aglet, a metal or plastic tube fixed tightly around each end of a shoelace. So
Yeah.
yeah,
So
yeah,
like I just remember it has something to do with shoes. I don't know what that loop is called then, but it probably has a name.
oh
Uh,
yeah, definitely.
but yeah, they had a whole show where they're like, this thing has a name, and then like the whole show was centered on the fact that this thing had a name. They had like a musical number. It was the greatest. I learned something. I learned something that day. I learned something. I learned a lot that day. Uh, my heart grew 3 sizes. You know.
Oh man.
um. Oh. Okay. So okay, my housemates. Well, I'm a guest at their house. To be fair, at this point.
Right.
They went to Canada because Canada had their 150th birthday just a
Hmm.
couple days ago or yesterday, right? It's funny how Canada's birthday and America's birthdays are so close. They're like sisters. Um, but yeah, they went up there. So I was looking over at their dog for a week, and oh my gosh, her name's Olivia. She's adorable. Don't get me wrong, but she's so like annoyingly needy,
Hmm.
or like not annoying, lovingly needy. Like she won't go to, like if you're about to go to bed, she will look up at you and like put her paws on the bed and look up at you because she wants you to pick her up so she can sleep with you.
Hmm.
Like she wants to cuddle. Like she gets really sad if you're like laying on the bed and you don't do it. Like she just like whine a little bit and then like she'll look really sad and then like go to her little dog bed and just cuddle up and you're just like you just look at her and like the man side of me was like don't fall for it, but like the little kid in me was like oh, oh, oh. you know. Um, so that happened and I played a lot of Legend of Zelda. Man, I understand why that game got like perfect scores when it came out. It's just a addicting game. It is a
Really?
it's a really good game. It does open world correctly. It actually feels like you're exploring something when you do this type of open world. Like you literally find almost everything on your map. So you need to actually go out and explore the world. And there's like tons of hidden stuff. Like it's beautiful. Like it's just well designed for a Zelda game. And you can like literally climb almost everything.
Hmm.
Like you go to a mountain and you actually have to use your stamina bar and climb it.
Yeah,
It's
that's it.
it's
That's cool.
it's a great game. It's good. It's a good art piece of a game. But yeah. Other than that, I was other than that, I don't know if you. I'm pretty sure you did this too this week, right? We looked at the XXL stuff. The XXL,
Yeah.
bruh, bruh,
Yeah.
bruh. Let's go through these freestyles, man.
Okay. Well, who do
Okay,
you have as the first one you looked at? Who's the top?
I just went through like as they released them through the day. So
Right.
I think Boogie with the Hoodie was the first one.
Yeah,
Um,
it's yeah.
I will. Okay, so before we get into this, I don't know how you feel, but before we get into this, I'm gonna preface this with this is how I feel about freestyles. So you understand the perspective, and I think if Fish you have a different perspective, you can tell me.
Okay.
But I think freestyles are the best when because you're on a timer, right? So freestyles is just all off the. It can be all off the dome. It can be a written. It's just it shouldn't be something that's been seen before. Like it shouldn't be like off a song or something, right?
Unless they're making references
Unless they're making references
that
to a
pertain to what they're
song.
saying, right?
Yeah, like, but it shouldn't be the whole song. Shouldn't be like a whole verse from a song
No,
you did. Excuse
no,
me.
it shouldn't.
So when I think of a freestyle, I'm always thinking, okay, this is the time of all times that you just go off lyrically, just metaphors, double entendres, setups, punchlines, the whole
Everything.
not even the 9 yards. Give me all 36. All right, like
36.
I want I want everything, dog. Um, and so that's all I'm gonna say before we get into this.
Right.
So let's start with Boogie with the Hoodie. I don't know what his
Boogie with
big
the hoodie.
I don't know
Yeah.
what his big hit was. Some of these I know, some of these I don't. Boogie with the Hoodie. Um, he didn't really have much a crazy technique. Like he wasn't coming out with the huge metaphors. He was like he stayed on the rhythm he set up for himself, obviously, and and he the thing that got me about his lyrics as he went through is it started off as if he was talking to a girl,
Hmm.
right? And then at a certain point it like meandered to something else for a little bit. And I was like, okay, I like the theming of him talking to this girl that slighted him, and now that he's on, he's like talking about like, well, you effed up, right? And then he goes off and talks about something else, and then goes back to talking about the girl at the end. And I'm like, if you're gonna start
Right.
out with a theme like that, you gotta keep it
Yeah.
strong.
Follow through. Like the issue I had with him, and we'll get into the others, but I had the same issue with a few of them. It
Mm,
was the presentation and how quiet and like hard it was to actually be excited about what he was saying in the first place.
He
Like
didn't have a lot of charisma.
well, no, like it's more so like especially whenever there's a freestyle and there is no beat, so a cappella, right?
Yeah.
Like
Mm-hmm.
there needs to be excitement in their voice,
Mm.
you know,
Or
or what
energy, right?
energy,
Some type
some
of
kind of
energy.
energy
Yeah.
that they're actually into whatever they're saying.
Yeah, like they actually believe it, right?
Right. Like
Mm.
this is who they are. This is they believe in what they're saying.
Like
You
that's
know,
what
this is
mean by
them.
charisma. Like, yeah, okay, I got you. Yeah, I would say the same. Some of these guys don't. It just sort of doesn't. The delivery doesn't sort of fit it, right?
Right.
Yeah.
And I think we'll get in as we get along to everyone. I'll say who I feel like um, did a good job on that, as well as what you were also saying, the following the theme through, like when you
Yeah.
start something, you know, finish
Follow it
up
through.
on it. Yeah,
Yeah,
follow
yeah,
through with
yeah.
it. We'll get to that. And
Um.
the next one after that, actually, that was released is P&B Rock.
Mm. How you feeling on him? How you feeling on him?
Um, yeah, I also he's another one I also felt the same way about in terms of
Mm.
the you know being quiet, reserved. I
Yeah, a
I
lot of
do
them.
I do think, however, though there was a lot more to what he said. Like
Oh yeah, he was definitely a lot more authentic. Like he was talking
right,
a lot about himself.
it was very personal and a
I
lot of
appreciated that.
things. Yeah, it was very like insightful into him, right, as an
Yes.
artist and as a person. So
I I can
I did
appreciate
enjoy that.
that. I can appreciate it because he had like the basics, right? Like he was
Yeah,
staying on beat. He was rhyming. It wasn't. He had. I don't really think he had any crazy metaphors or bars or technical stuff like that, which would have taken him over the edge. But
right.
for the most part, I was like, yeah, I can relate to you, dude. Like at least you told me your story, dude. Like
Yeah.
it makes me want to relate to you, right? So like that was good off him. He was okay. Um. Oh boy. Do you want to tell? Oh.
Talking about Playboy Cardi.
Whoo! Shooting from the ups, and then when the up, there. I'm okay. Disclaimer: Magnolia is flames. All right, I
Which
freaking love that song.
I still haven't
The
heard it. That's so
no,
bad.
I sent you the Sensei Lee Fox version. That's the same. Like he has the thing about Playboy Cardi, and we talked about energy on the Magnolia song. He has so much energy, which
Mm,
sort of is like, okay, if you're not gonna come with bars, at least come with energy, dude.
right,
At least. Like Designer in his last one, right? He didn't have bars, but he at least had energy.
right.
Like in the 2016 version, like I feel like him and Playboy Cardi are sort of similar, right? They're both from New York. They both had their one-hit wonder, right? Like
Hmm.
Designer had Panda, Playboy Cardi has Magnolia. I don't know about Playboy Cardi. He might come out with another hit, which would then beat Panda
Yeah.
because I don't know, maybe Timmy Turner for Designer, but he hasn't
I
really come out with anything else after that. Um,
yeah. I think a, a a part of why these guys have such an issue with there being no beat is because a main part of their song is that
is
like
depending and riffing off of it, right?
yeah they're using it as a catalyst to like keep themselves up, like keep the energy going, or just
Yeah,
like
encouraging. They don't know how to do it
yeah,
themselves, right?
right. Like I think it kind of relates to like any kind of a crutch in stuff we're learning, you know, like
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
I think they should, if they want to make them like have more success when they do these types of things, is you know just take the beat away like
Mm-hmm.
more often.
Yeah, yeah,
And
yeah.
you
Or
know,
just practice without the beat,
right, yeah,
because you know Kendrick. He actually rapped about it. He was like, back in high school, I just rhymed on high school stuff. Like we're at the lunch table and then somebody just starts a beat.
yeah, they're just rapping on the table, that's it.
Yeah, and they just do a cipher at school. Uh, I don't know, man. Yeah, it feels like a lot of this generation is sort of like that, where it's really depending on the beat.
Yeah,
Obviously, you can get away with it, and I'm not
yeah,
hating anybody who's doing that. Honestly, I don't think criticizing people as you're ruining hip hop and this and that. I'm like, bruh, this dude's making
Yeah.
money for his family. He's not he's not that bad. And we also like, okay, I'm gonna get into my spiel about people getting mad at people. Okay.
Oh,
Here go.
you.
The sound effect. You get ready. Philemon rants. So a lot of old heads be like, this generation of rap is the worst. I strongly disagree. I think what people are realizing is we no longer have gatekeepers. So the more people that are broken are the more people that break through, the more we realize like different artists. So for example, you go back to like the 90s, right? You had gatekeepers in the form of record companies are getting signed, right? Or you wouldn't really be known more than
Okay.
locally,
Yeah, it
right?
wasn't kind of. Okay, I got you.
Okay, so even then, those guys were like signing like people who honestly weren't the greatest rappers. Let's be completely honest. Nobody's gonna tell me freaking MC Hammer was out here slinging them bars. Okay, and we had a lot of people back then. But the thing is, I think it's because we had less, right?
Yeah.
Okay, and then compared to now with the internet and the democratization of entertainment, more people can break through. And I think honestly the percentage of good to bad to meh to bad rappers, right? They're the same. I feel like they're the same. Okay, it's just that there is more of them.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, and the human mind is better at seeing bad rather than seeing or remembering good or even meh,
Right.
right?
That's very true. Like, yeah, that makes a lot of sense because
Because our
with
survival was based off of this is bad. Like if it's bad or good, the human body's like, oh yeah, okay, cool. Like I'm gonna live. But if it's bad, it's like no, no, you know. So
right.
like our brain is hardwired to be like something's bad, fix it.
Yeah. I
Um,
mean that makes a lot of sense because I mean, just like your friend said, the democratization of
oh yeah, 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 yeah.
idiocy. I mean,
Idiocy on the internet.
yeah,
Yeah,
right. Well, because the internet it opens up more doors for everyone,
yeah. So you
which
could
is
be
a
good
good.
or bad.
It can be a good or a bad thing, but yeah, it definitely makes things more accessible. As
Mm.
like makes the meh more accessible than it was ever before.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, which is I at the same time I think like it makes it easier for those people who aren't as technically skilled to,
Hmm.
if they really want to, improve because
Oh
all they have
yeah,
to do is look at the people who are much better
there's a
than them
tutorial.
and
There
learn
is a
from them.
tutorial for everything on the internet nowadays.
Everything, everything.
Like you could practice, you could study. Like, bruh, yeah, that's true. That's true as shit. Um,
All right, all right. You
what
want to
else? All right, rant over, I guess.
rant
Until
over?
another day.
Yeah.
Um, I really don't. I really don't know. That might become a segment where either you or I rant. Oh, oh boy. Um,
All
okay,
right. You
okay.
got
Here we go. These next two ones made me happy.
yes,
Ugly God.
yes.
Everybody was sleeping on my boy Ugly God. Cause
So
he
good.
makes joke songs. He has a song called "Beat My Meat." He has a song called "Water." And if you honestly listen to it, people are like, "Man, this is trash,"
Mm-hmm.
right? And the thing is, Ugly God agrees with you. In interviews, he says, "I know my songs are trash, bruh. I literally made these for fun, and they blew up." And then I kept going. And I've actually been listening to him in his interviews and seeing his Snapchat and his Instagram, and he's actually pretty intelligent. And he's like he produces his stuff, and he has a couple beats where he's like, I feel like these beats you have to go completely lyrical on, but that doesn't fit with my brand, so I can't really do it. And I'm like, wait,
Yeah.
Like he's self-aware. So I like in my back of my head, I'm like, this guy probably got really has bars, but he's not sure whether or not to do it. And then he did it for the freestyle, and everybody was like, "Whoa!" Not only was it funny, every bar was a had a metaphor or was relating back to a song title of something that got popular that he did.
That's so good. It's
Is bruh, I was just so happy when people are like, "Oh man, maybe Ugly God isn't shouldn't be slept on. He's actually pretty good." Uh,
Can we talk about his name for a second?
Ugly God.
I, I
That's how self-aware he is.
it's so good.
He's
It's
like he's
so good.
incredibly self-aware, and nobody like really was peeping that.
Oh
Like
man. I
he has this interview that I love where he's talking to Vlad, and I don't really, a lot of people don't take issue with Vlad. That's
mhm.
whatever. But he's talking about they got all the subject of like good looking girls, and he's just like it's like I don't get why like all these popular people literally only date the same like 5 or 8 chicks in like music, and I'm just like, and
Oh.
he's just like low key. I could go out in the street and find a person that's hotter than Beyonce. That's his words. Beehive, don't kill me. This is his words. But I low key get what he's saying.
I
You
mean,
like
I understand,
where it's
right?
like there are a lot of attractive people.
You know what's really weird about that? Now we're getting a little off topic, but
Yeah.
is it is true. A few years ago, like
Mm-hmm.
I don't know specifically, so I'm just saying a decade. All right.
Yeah.
When there was less social media out there and
Yeah.
less access to seeing just people in general.
Yeah. You would have
I
your small
you
town, right?
you
Excuse me.
thought well you just thought the girls within your area the hottest thing ever, and then you
Yeah.
would see celebrities and they'd just be like goddesses or
Whoa. Yeah.
gods, right?
Exactly.
They all look
Yeah.
amazing, but now
Yeah.
you see them and then you see all these other people and you're just like, oh wait,
Instagram models.
Instagram models, like your locals on Tinder and all this stuff. You
Yeah. Yeah.
see,
Yeah. Yeah.
you're
Yeah.
like,
And you're just
whoa,
like,
wait, this is in my
whoa.
area. Wait, what? Hold
Woo!
up.
Hit him with that. Hola.
Exactly. So yeah, no,
Je m'appelle Philemon.
it's oh man, wait now. I because I'm looking at Kyle right now, just the thumbnail of his freestyles and stuff. Doesn't he have
Oh,
some kind of? I feel like he has a song where he's talking to some girl. I can't remember, but
probably blame. I Here's the thing. I like Kyle. I knew about
yeah,
Kyle before he blew up. Okay, before he got the Well, not. I don't think before I blew. I think it was last year. It might have been when he did that song with freaking what's it called? What's his face? Yachty,
hmm
called I Spy, and I'm like, I peeped. He had a couple little nice little bars there, and I was like, oh, cool. And I checked out his stuff because I like the beat and instrumentation and how like goofy and happy he was. And
right.
there's this one song called "Doubt It," bruh. If any of you listen, peep "Doubt It" by Kyle.
Doubt it. All right.
He has he has a couple bars in there where he's just goofy and funny and just honest with himself that I love. He has one. What does he say? He says like, oh, okay, I got two that sold it for me. It was he's like, I might butcher it, but he was like something to the effect of, it's like, boy, I'm a gamer, yeah. You uh get so fair so he's like, so remember who you aiming at. I'm a Call of Duty player. I might Call of Duty player. Yeah, you should check my gamer tag. Um,
This is in Doubt It. You said
Doubt it. Yeah, it's like
okay.
fire, fire flame, fire flame kid. Um, all you guys are my sons. Might throw your ass to adoption. Have your
Get
mom reclaim your ass.
yeah, give you to adoption. Make your mama come reclaim your ass. Yeah.
He's like all you know. He says something about like, I'm your father's. All I'm your father's. I might have to rename your ass. And then he had one bit where you just start
Oh,
singing. He's like,
you're my son. Fuck around
yeah.
and I'll rename your ass. Yeah. Okay.
And then he had one song, the thing that killed me. He started singing. He's like, I just want to play Assassin's Creed, give my baby what she needs, and watch my HBO shows in peace. And I was just like, he gets it. He gets it. So I knew he was gonna kill the freestyle. I
Oh, of
think he did pretty
course.
good.
Yeah, he did.
He was happy. He was real, talking about his dad. He had some bars in there about Jeezy. It was easy to sing like Nelly when you're on an empty belly. I was like, bruh. And then he was like, freaking, what was his other bar? The plan to fail thing with his dad. But like the whole tone of it was like his normal tone for all of his stuff, where he's just he's just content with life.
Yeah, just content and enjoying himself. Right.
Yeah, like, and he's
Yeah.
not trying to be a thug or anything. Like Kyle, like represents me as a black guy who likes rap. Like I'm just like, I'm not a killer. I'm intelligent. I like rap. I'm goofy. I like video games. I'm an anime nerd. It's great.
Oh
Like,
man.
and if
How many?
he's out here winning, then I can be out here winning.
Exactly. Absolutely.
That's sort of the reason why I like Childish Gambino too. He's just a nerd that made it.
Yeah. Yeah. No. Yeah. That makes sense.
Um, how'd you feel about Kyle? Same.
Yes. Same. There's there's no criticism for that. I mean, I I haven't spent enough time like looking into his music.
He's pretty
And
decent.
yeah, so I mean, but I would expect someone like him like to produce some
I
pretty
think
cool
he
stuff.
I think he dropped something recently. Might have dropped another tape. I gotta listen to that. Um, yeah, Ugly God, Kyle, pretty good.
Mm-hmm.
Made in Tokyo.
Oh,
Okay.
okay.
So, do you want to start with this one? Do you want to start with your initial reaction and then go to your reaction, then go to your reaction now?
Okay, so my initial reaction was
Yes.
a little bit pissed off.
Yeah.
I I had basically been like, this guy
Hmm.
can kiss my ass. But now after,
How, like, especially
being
after he opened with you, like being like, "Oh, okay," and then he just ended with that thing that you did,
yes, I
that you
didn't
hated
right, because I
when
didn't
he started with the
understand it.
mumble rap stuff.
The mumble rap stuff. I didn't get it, all right? And then you educated me. And now I'm like, all right, I got it. I got
So
it.
basically,
Makes
that
sense.
whole last part was a play on like old heads, like hating mumble rap.
Mm-hmm.
And he prefaced it with this, "Oh, this is the stuff that the old heads hate, mumble rap." Yeah, and then he just did the cadence over and over again, like a mumble rapper would, and ended it like there just to piss him off. And I low key was like, I'm sort of okay with that
Mm-hmm.
because
I
he showed them that he has bars. He's not dumb.
right.
And then he ended with, It's still a vibe. Like I get it. I get. He sort of
Right.
made his point. Would I have been more fine with him just going straight bars? Of course. I'm always here
Of
for the
course.
bars. But I get it. It was
Yeah,
okay.
yeah.
I think his
It
actual rapping
it
part
makes sense.
though, yeah. But I think his actual rapping part, he didn't have the metaphors and stuff like Ugly God or Kyle. He was more of a Playboy Cardi. Not Playboy. No, nobody's a Playboy Cardi. More of a PNB and Boogie,
Right.
where it
Yeah.
was just like he just kept it going. He might have had a faster cadence and flow, which is props to him because faster cadences of flow you can f those up. But other than that, yeah, he was pretty cool.
Yeah.
Uh, Feeling the same on him too.
Yeah. No, I mean, I don't even remember what he said at the beginning, anything
That's
about
true.
it, because
That's
that
true.
last part just like it distracted me way too much. Like, I think I watched it like 2 or 3 times, and that's all I
that
remember.
just the rage inducing. Your your blood pressure going up.
Yep.
Um. Okay. Next is Kamaya, the
Come,
femc.
Kamaya, yes.
Um, okay, so I know very little about Kamaya. I know she signed or does a lot with YG, who's respected. I haven't listened to a lot of YG. I just know people respect him and like his album. He's done stuff on. I think the biggest thing I know him for is during the election cycle. He made a thing on Trump, even though he's like he's actually known to be affiliated with the Bloods. So, but like everybody thinks he's. I know. I was listening to his producer who was like, YG's low key sort of like frustrated because like everybody thinks he's a gangster because they know he's like affiliated with Blood people, right? But when he on his actual music, maybe for except for a little references here and there, he's like branched out past that, but nobody's like peeping that. So that's a little thing on him. Other than that, Kamaya
Okay, so who is this?
YG.
Uh-huh. And who is
Uh,
he?
he's a rapper that Kamaya's I think signed to or gets a lot of featured play. Who's a bit
Oh.
bigger. Um, I don't know if she has better bars, but this freestyle, it was cool. It's once again like a once again feels on the same level of Boogie and PNB. Like it was just you stayed on beat, and not. I don't think there was any metaphors. It's anything like for example, the thing that makes Ugly God and Kyle. I think the reason why um, I would say you want to put in more double entendres and metaphors and place and stuff is I can remember that from Kyle
Hmm.
and Ugly God.
Right.
You know, like that's what makes verses stick in your head. When you have to
Yeah.
play it, like be like, wait, what? And then play it back, and then that reiterates it in your head. So if you just go straight through a rap, sometimes people would just be like, they'll remember their general feelings, but they won't remember what you actually said. And if they can remember what you actually said, like it'll stay in their mind as wow, you're actually pretty good. That's why I'm like,
Right.
you're all I remember
Right.
is you're basically good. You probably bragged a little bit, but
Yeah, it's the same thing as if like I'm scrolling through an art station
mm-hmm.
or any art website. It's like you go through and you see the general population and you just look maybe half a second over it and decide immediately it's not something it doesn't speak to you. It's not
Mm-hmm.
doesn't have its own style. You know,
Yeah,
it's a copy of something else you've seen before. It's
yeah.
not it doesn't catch your eye, and to the same degree, what she said it reminded me of like my like a classmate or two I might have had that like
Mm.
freestyle today at school.
Yeah,
Right?
yeah,
Like
yeah, 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 yeah,
it
yeah.
is it's like yeah they rhymed a little bit, they like okay they kind of understand that to a certain degree, but
Nothing
it
to
was
blow
like
you away.
nothing, yeah, nothing like that, like
I think I think maybe even more than Boogie than and P and B. It just might be like because Boogie and P and B they kept it at least real. Like
mm-hmm,
if you could feel the authenticity, which makes it memorable. Whereas like they
yeah,
really just described like their lives or like them talking to a girl and how they that made them feel. Like at least Boogie had like a running theme. And PNB just his running theme was his like just his growing up, right? Kamaya's running theme was just sort of like brag rap ish.
mm-hmm.
There might have been a couple bars and metaphors in there, but nothing too memorable.
I mean, I would like to see or hear her actual music so I get a better feeling of what she
Feel
goes
of
for,
yeah, yeah,
who
yeah, yeah,
she
yeah,
is,
yeah, yeah,
like
yeah.
I mean hopefully it's better, but I doubt it, like
Mm,
I feel
true.
like
I mean,
yeah
the cipher might change her mind.
maybe
She might have saved her better bars for the cipher.
mm-hmm,
This might honestly now that I think about the cipher, excuse me, the XXL freshman list cipher, right?
mm-hmm.
Um, it might be. It might be that all of these aren't even their better bars, because like the cipher is what gets people hype.
Right.
So
Well, because
they might have
they're there in with each other, and it's competition, right? Like
yeah,
everyone's in front of you doing their thing. You're like, oh, well, I got to
on a
step
beat.
up.
Yeah,
Right. On a
exactly.
beat too. Exactly.
Um, Do
which
you
I
want
mean will help a lot of people, but
to? Hardy. um.
uh,
Do you want to go with Cap of G?
Cap G, dude. Okay, so at first
Mm-hmm.
I kind of like,
The Wraith part. I got me a
well,
Wraith,
yeah,
and I got me
well,
a Wraith.
that didn't bother me as much because again, I saw this after you had explained certain things to me, so I was like, all right,
Mm,
I won't trip. I have no idea what Rafe, if
it's
he's
a car.
saying okay,
Oh, I got
that
me a Wraith. Like,
okay, all
yeah.
right, well, like, yeah, no, that part it didn't bother me at all. But the first time I went through it, I was like, all right, I can't understand certain words he's saying. It took me a little bit, like, but I listened to it again, and
And he has some bars.
yes,
He actually like that surprised me because I know nothing about Cap G and his music. I'm more willing to check out his music now because he came. Ooh, boy came. He probably had the most bars out of everyone here. Like,
yeah, he's actually like really good. I want to see what he does in the future. You
definitely.
know, yeah, I'm
Uh,
I'm really curious of like what he'll come with. Like
yeah, that was interesting. That was interesting.
he's also got like, I mean, I know a lot of these most of the freshmen this year, like they have their own look, which is cool.
Hmm.
And I like his look.
It
He's got
makes
the
him memorable. I like his
yeah,
hair swoop. I
uh-huh,
think yeah, a lot of them are realizing having your own like distinct look is pretty good.
yeah, absolutely.
Um, oof, oof.
Yeah,
Yeah, I like that. I liked Cap G. Amine.
Mene, yeah. Okay,
Bruh.
look,
I've liked this kid for a bit. Once again, one of these guys I'm like, he's probably gonna kill this. Because I've listened to Caroline. Wanted a lot of people in the dance community freaking love his that Caroline song. Because
hmm
that beat goes. Um
that's the one you showed me, right?
no,
No,
yeah, that's the newer one. That one is what's it called? Stripped? Stripped down
it's
or
the
something?
it's the one where the guy's singing at the
In the
end.
grocery store? Yeah.
Yes.
Okay.
Oh, okay.
That if you haven't listened to that one, that's a good one. He has a music video out for that one. It's basically him in a grocery store and he's just talking about gentrification. And the chorus has this sort of like punk rock style when he sings it,
Mm-hmm.
but it fits because
It
it's
really
like
does.
just a guitar and a drum beat.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, just listen to it. He makes it work, and then the verses is just him rapping.
So on this, okay, so I just picked out one little tidbit of this
Mm,
freestyle of his.
okay,
When he was talking about like dudes would rather, as opposed to getting married, they'd
married
rather
with
end
his
up in heaven or Kevin's gate.
Kevin
So
Gates.
no,
Yeah,
he said Kevin's gate, not Kevin
Kevin's Gate.
Gates. Kevin
Oh,
Gates is the
Kevin's Gates.
rapper. He
Rapper,
said
yeah,
Kevin's gate. Kevin's gate. So I had to look this up. I was like, all right,
yeah.
so what
I
is
didn't look it up.
this?
I thought he was talking about Kevin Gates.
No, Kevin's gate. Okay, it's a phrase that was made up in reference to two Kevin Costner movies. Okay,
Mm, okay.
Waterworld and Dances with Wolves.
Wow.
Which which
Waterworld, of course.
think about it, heaven or
Rather be.
Kevin's gate. It's that, that idea when when you're younger. I mean, I had the
Yeah,
same thought. It's so stupid. Like,
yeah.
oh, what if a zombie apocalypse
This
happened?
happened. Yeah.
Like you want the bad things to
Bad
happen,
thing. So yeah,
where
because you want to
it
be like
all just
survive.
right. You want
You want to
everything.
either die or be in the most desolate. Ooh, bars.
Isn't that crazy? Oh,
And the greatest thing about this one, right, is everybody. I think this once melody came, and rappers were started to realize they could sing and rap, and it was cool.
mm-hmm.
Like that melody is now just an intrinsic part of hip hop, like from the top down now. Like you got to have it at some point in your rhyme scheme, like somewhere, right?
Mm-hmm.
In one of your songs, you probably have a little bit of a tune somewhere in the at least the delivery part.
Right.
Um, with Eminem, I think he was the best combination I've seen of musicality and just straight up bars.
And bars. Yeah. It's
He just
it.
had a better all. He's like if you're not gonna go for the freestyle for straight bars, and you want to show off your musicality, this is the best version of that. Where
Yeah,
he's straight, he still didn't feel like he skimped out on the bars, but he also had good musicality.
absolutely.
So like, go ahead.
I had been complaining about this to you a while back because
Yeah.
it's really rare
Mm-hmm.
to find a rapper that sings well, and not only sings well, but they implement it into their
Well into
well
the music.
into yeah,
Mm-hmm.
exactly. And this is a really good example of that.
Uh, yeah, that actually uh, once again, all the people I knew were gonna do pretty good did pretty good. um, okay, now we're gonna get into the one that they saved for last. You know, the one everybody was hyped for.
Were they really?
Yes, the community was like, "Where is X's freestyle?" And so you know how they recorded this all in I think the same day. Um, so X was on his social media telling people like, "I had the best freestyle." Like he was like, "Yo, this thing was awesome." He did shout out Amine and Cap G. He said Amine. He said I thought Amine and Cap G's were the best, including mine.
Mm-hmm.
So at least he recognizes good when he sees it.
Mm-hmm.
But
I think he's overshooting his own a little bit.
okay. So I give you the lyric sheet of what he was saying on a purely technical standpoint.
Mm-hmm.
I think he was okay. I think he was pretty decent. He was going with a faster flow.
Right.
It was cool. Some of the internal logic, not so good. The shots at J. Cole, not
Not necessary.
not necessary. Not even like your logic was like,
Not
oh, so
even.
basically you're a government puppet because you made a song and actually did it where you just talked to Obama, and
Yeah.
then he talks about how Obama was like, I can't do much because of politics, and now he's a government puppet, and he should be compared to a girl who's on video, Amber Cole, right? Who for sucking penis, like what? I get you're anti-government and edgy, but come on now, dude. Like
Yeah.
we're you fish, you can corroborate me with it. Like we were thinking like this whole thing was like it just felt like fake deep. Like he pulled out the Jesus bar of like he wasn't white or black, he was an Arab, and we're like, yes, anybody with common sense knows he was probably Jesus when he was on Earth. Probably looked Middle Eastern. Like it's not a surprise, dude. But like once again, you know his fan base. I look at the comments and they're just like, "Wow, he was so deep." I'm like,
Yeah. No.
he's
There.
as deep as Hobson.
Okay. Well, I I think you did kind of like hit the right note there. Like when you said earlier, he's he's as deep as an edgy teenager, or
Yes,
like it's that appeal to teens. Like
yes,
it's not whatever his thoughts are have not fully
been thought
developed
through,
or
and
thought through. He
or
hasn't
self-aware. He's
self-aware. He like a really big part of like figuring out what you believe in or
mm-hmm.
what you subscribe to, what you actually think on subjects is saying your opinions to other people, and then in turn listening to
To theirs. Mm-hmm.
theirs and
Ah,
taking their criticism of your opinions, because most of the time the first thoughts you have on a subject are probably wrong and
I I thought so. Yeah.
or really ignorant.
Yes.
And
Mm-hmm.
that's kind of that's it's not to say that's who he is as a person. It's just like that's the way everyone starts off. We all
Mm-hmm.
like we
Yeah.
all
Human
think
growth.
yeah, we all think way too strongly about certain things early on, and then realize, oh yeah, it's not that at all. We're wrong, right?
Mm-hmm.
But I don't know. Yeah, not
It's
very good.
a it's a different thing. It's I think somebody in the comments was like, "Yeah, we get it. You're deep, but you're not. You didn't really think of anything that hasn't been thought of before."
You're
Like
right.
like everybody has made these points before, and you going on J. Cole because he decided to meet with the president. Like we get
Hmm.
we get your anti-government, and he the whole thing where he said hell was a government creation. Do you not know what Christianity and Judaism is, dude? Like that's just wrong.
You know
That's just incorrect.
the funny thing is, because you said it's not you're acting like it's deep, but it's not like it's something no one's ever thought of before. That so relates
Mm,
to your growth, or not your growth, the way, the design process. Sorry, that's what I
mm-hmm.
was getting at. Like your first thoughts of a design for, like, let's say a post-apocalyptic world. You're
Oh,
gonna
that's okay.
it's very,
First off, post-apocalyptic in
okay,
general is just used a lot, so you're
very
gonna have to
generic.
really pull. You're gonna really have to pull to make it unique.
Right. Okay, but the thing is, everyone who starts off thinks that it's a new idea that no one's ever heard of.
Mm,
That's where he's at. He's saying things that he thinks
excuse me.
no one's ever thought of before. Well, no,
Mm. Do a
you
couple
need to
research, and you're
add
like,
more. Yeah, research and add on more to it, or take away things from it, right? Like,
yeah,
if I'm designing a post-apocalyptic world or something set in the future, doesn't matter. And
mm,
now I'm kind of talking about the art station thing here, but
okay,
basically, it's, you've got to add on a lot more research and thought to that. Like, you can't
yeah,
just go off
because
the
there's like
base.
billions of things already. You're gonna have to draw
Yeah,
from something so off kilter that people wouldn't think of, and then combine it with that. So like it sets it apart completely.
right, right.
Um, what else?
Is so, when do you know when the
I
cipher
I
drops?
do not know. I'm assuming it's sometime this week. It would be dumb for them not to, because I think X's dropped yesterday or 2 days ago. Um,
Three
so
days
I'm
ago.
assuming 3 days ago. So yeah, they're
Mm-hmm.
probably gearing up to drop the cipher. Maybe today, later today, um, um, or maybe later this week. But I think people are excited for the ciphers to see what's up with them.
So
Uh,
if we were to put this on a, who do we expect to be interesting, we'll go with, obviously, Amine, Cap
Eminem has already
G,
got a couple. He has a
Eminem.
couple. He has the red Mercedes. He has this new one, and he has
No, no, no.
Caroline.
On the cipher, who do
Oh,
we
the
expect
cipher.
to
Oh,
be
okay.
nice? Yeah, like,
Oh,
Amine, Cap G,
Cap
Kyle,
G,
Ugly
Kyle,
God.
Ugly God. Um,
Um,
I
and
don't
then,
know. Maybe X will have something different on there.
yeah, yeah. I
Um,
well, he'll, you know, we were talking about this earlier as well. He has that, like we were
he has
saying,
potential.
that okay, but he has that Tech Nine feel, right?
Yeah,
So,
Tech Nine and Hobson.
and Hobson, right?
Hobson has the same problem with his covers too. Actually, oh my God, is that a
His
thing?
his album covers. So earlier we were
Oh yeah.
critiquing Tech
Oh yeah.
Nine's album covers,
Yeah, before we recorded, we were going in on Tech Nine's album covers.
and
Tech Nine is a rapper who's
we were
been indie
basically,
for since the '90s. Just for any of you who don't know who he is, but
right,
he's like sort of an OG in the game. A lot of rappers respect him. He's been on
absolutely.
with Kendrick and I think with Eminem.
Technically, he's
Eminem
technically
likes him,
amazing.
stuff like that. Yeah, he's technically great, but we were talking about his meanings and stuff, and it's like,
Well, the thing is, the problem I have with it, with guys like this, is the complaint oriented
mm,
nature. Like, they're quick, like you also said earlier, they're quick to point fingers,
mm-hmm,
you know,
mm-hmm.
which, I mean, I everyone does it. Everyone
Okay,
does it. But
I have some. Okay, go ahead. Sorry.
oh yeah, all good. Everyone points fingers from time to time, complains, all that, but
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
not in your music, and especially don't attack the people who possibly are going to have to, employ you, right?
Or you could do collaborations with.
Yeah, exactly. Like, it makes no sense. It's a bad business move.
Mm.
And Uh, but yeah, the in terms of the album covers, oh man, it's just opened our eyes to how much work is out there for artists
Yo,
and how
we need
much
to hit him up.
we
We need to
really
hit
do.
the
I oh,
book covers, and album covers, dude. That you could be making money, even if the local rapper is trash, dude. Bruh, just tell him, give me $100 and I'll do this mixtape cover for you, dog.
yep.
Just tell them, don't link me. If you listen to their music and the music is trash, just tell them, don't link me in there. I'll just do the cover for you, though. If they're good, if you like the music, be like, please link me in all your stuff when you post it. But if they're not that great, just be like, yeah, I'll just do it.
Oh wow. I wouldn't mind doing something for someone who was up and coming, simply because you never
I've done
know.
it a couple times.
Yeah, you never know. Like
True, they could get better.
they're just
That's
yeah,
true.
well, and they're just starting out. Like these are freshmen. They're like
Yeah.
these guys just started.
No,
But
to be fair, they're not really freshmen. Like a lot of people, they're like indie for a while before they pop off. For
right,
the most part, I think the only body who's maybe actually a freshman is Playboy Cardi, because he literally like made one song that anybody knows about, and
right.
then that popped off. Everybody
Okay,
else seems to have been working for like freaking years.
so how about this? So Logic, has he
Mm.
ever been on this?
Yes, he was in
Okay,
2015.
2015. Okay, so now you say these guys aren't, they're not technically freshmen. Well, Logic himself has a lot of room to grow,
Oh, of
right?
course.
You know, like he has a similar style to a lot of other people.
Yeah,
He reuses
Drake and all
some
them.
things. He reuses some things in songs, you know, all this stuff. Like that to me is still, you know, it shows that they still have some kind of growth to do, whether
Growth,
it's
finding their own voice. Yeah,
finding their own sound.
or which is
Like
actually just finding the unique combination. But
right.
yeah,
Which, you know, a guy like Kendrick, he found it early.
Br-
He was lucky. He
I don't think it was luck. I
it
like
not he's I'm saying lucky in the sense that he figured out who he was early on. Not
yeah,
lucky
okay,
in the sense that he
chanced
fell
upon it.
upon. Yeah, no, I don't mean that. I mean
I
he
think that
he was able to, you know, spend the time earlier on to actually, you know, really develop who he is, right?
okay, yeah. Well, the thing is, when like okay, so I was listening to interviews of Kendrick because probably one of my favorite rappers right now of this generation,
Hmm.
possibly all time. Um, he was talking about how he's a student of the game, and I was like, okay, that's cool. But then I was watching videos of like people dissecting all the references that are in his music, like Element in Element, like near the end where he's like, you want to see me in L.A., huh? Huh? Right? He's drawing
You
from
think
a down south rapper who had that flow on his song. Like in every one of his songs, there, whether it be the album, the references and stuff, it's drawing from different eras of like hip hop to black music in general. Like he just has a wide base to choose from. So when I say when I like we talked about earlier, I don't know if we talked about this on podcast. We might in the future, but no, there's no new original idea. Everything's a combination.
well, we touched on it already on
Yeah.
this episode. Yeah.
So when he says he's like a student of the game, he wasn't kidding. Like
Yeah.
he has such a large, it's like the way you would say, like, I think I would allude Kendrick as like hip hop's version of not Scorsese, of the guy who made Kill Bill. Dang it. Mm,
The director?
director, yeah. Uh
Quentin Tarantino?
Quentin Tarantino. Because
Yeah.
Quentin Tarantino, he can draw from like 1930s Japanese films. Like he can
Well,
list like 10 off his head. And then like he combines it with an anime he watched one time, and then like a
right.
western, and then he makes like he makes Kill Bill.
Well, right,
Like,
yeah, and the thing is though, a lot of westerns were influenced by those movies as well. So he's not just taking from those old, like Seven
yeah,
Samurai and all this stuff. Like
but
those influenced old westerns.
yeah,
So, but yeah, I see what you're saying. Like you're, it's
no,
like,
but the thing is, with him, he can even reference from all era of film. Like that's what
well,
people tell me about him. Like he's literally he could probably give you a good quote of the top 10 best directors in Western cinema in the 1940s. Like,
okay, well, I think that's going a little far. Maybe at this point because he's been doing it for so long. But the
ooh,
thing
you haven't seen the
is,
videos I've seen. Okay,
I
all right, okay,
got
I
you.
got you.
I understand what you're saying, but
Yeah,
that's why I said I also said at this time he's done it for
yeah,
so long. He's probably
true,
done
true.
tons of research. I get
Mm-hmm.
that,
Mm-hmm.
but the reason why, like, you're saying that little tidbit of element for Kendrick and his song, like
Yeah,
he could have spent the time like researching that beforehand and then
yeah,
been like, oh, maybe I'll use that down the line in another song. Like
yeah.
that still goes back to
It's
what we are
still
talking about
research.
with,
He's still a student
yeah,
of the game.
it's just, yeah, it's research. It's all it is. Like the same thing we are saying about with Tentacion and him taking the time to actually do more than the post-apocalyptic scenario, right? Like, you know, like actually building upon that with research. So it
uh,
doesn't matter what it is, but yeah,
yeah. So just to end my point on all that, it's just research. That's the end of it. Just
research. Got to do research.
don't be afraid to research and do thumbnails. Uh, take that idea, dissect it, sit with it,
Add in
live with it.
something that isn't related at all, and find a
Oh,
way
and
to
that
make it work.
make it work and make it
Make it
unique. Ugh.
work. Make it
Oof.
work.
Oof.
Yep.
And then yeah. I feel like I was gonna have another point, but I think we're good, honestly. I'm hyped for the freestyles. Freestyles might redeem a lot of people.
Yep.
Not that I think the only person who was really, really bad was Playboy Cardi, but other than that, it was just like
Yeah. Everyone. Yeah. Everyone did a pretty good job.
yeah,
It really.
it
It
was more
really
like
wasn't that
meh.
bad.
Yeah, it was like meh to good.
Yeah.
Um, excuse me. So yeah, that's about it. Um, yeah, I can't really think of anything else I'd want to say. Oh, how do you feel about the X? Okay, so I want your opinion on this because I don't know if I've talked to you about this because people were complaining in the comments about it.
Hmm.
Um, the XXL. I was about to say X again, but the XXL freshman list. How do you feel? How do you feel about like what it should be doing?
What do you mean specifically? Like who it should be picking? Who they should be
Yes,
going for?
like yes, what they're supposed to be doing.
Oh, okay. Well,
Because
I can go off what they've done here.
go
Okay,
ahead.
so they have taken what I think is a good variety of
Mm-hmm.
people with
Mm-hmm.
different skill sets
Mm-hmm.
and approaches to
Mm-hmm.
rap, right?
Yes.
And
Mm-hmm.
I think that's fine. They have
Yeah.
the Amine who's vocal and like more musicality, like you said, and
Mm-hmm.
also rapping with it. And then you got Cap G, who's he's a little more like mellow, but just real. I don't even know how to explain that. He's good.
Yeah.
And then you've got Kyle, who's the nerd and
Yeah.
just does his thing and enjoys himself. Then you got Ugly
Mm.
God, who makes jokes and is really, he doesn't give a crap about his
This boy,
music.
yo,
Like
bruh,
it.
bruh. Back on Ugly God for a little bit. This guy has me geeked. He released a diss track to himself.
What do you mean to
He has a song
himself?
called "Fuck Ugly God," and he made a diss track to himself, and evidently it's flames. Anthony
That's
Fantano,
awesome.
the Needle Drop, reviewed it on like Tracks of the Week, and he actually just went in on himself.
That's so awesome. Like self-deprecating type of thing.
Yeah, basically, like he's rapping as if he has beef with another person, but it's just himself.
Himself, right? Yeah,
So good.
that's so good. Oh man, that okay. Before we go on that tangent,
Yeah. Oh, I'm done with
I
the tangent. That's all. I just
okay.
wanted you to be
Well,
aware that exists.
right. Oh man, because that just reminds me of Bad Guy on Eminem's
Oh yeah, yeah,
last
yeah,
album. You know, like how he's turned
yeah.
into his old self and all this stuff. Okay, so but so back to the list.
Mm,
I think what they're doing is fine.
mm.
I'm okay with it. I mean, I know a lot of people, like you said, they're complaining. They want more skillful people and more
Yeah.
technically better people. I
Hmm.
I I would compare this to arts, modern artists, right?
Mm.
You have which people putting up displays of toilets and
And just
sculptures
paint
of
splatters and stuff.
paint splatters, sculptures of feces, big block letters of a word, those kinds of
Hmm.
things. No one, no one gets it, right?
I don't even think the
But
artist gets it.
I mean, they did a lot of them. A lot of it is actually there is some good stuff, but
Okay.
it it's it's at a different place than
Mentally.
doing things more at a technical level, right?
Hmm.
Like there's a focus on the narrative or the story as opposed
Hmm.
to the technical skill involved,
Yes.
right? And
Or the vibe or the
right,
energy, right? Like
that
this,
which
a lot of these
applies
people, a lot of
it
these
applies
people
to
make,
this.
yeah, a lot of these people make music that would go at a strip club where you're not trying to
Hmm.
think too deep, or at
Hmm.
a club where you're still trying not to think too deep, or
Right,
at a concert where it's great to mosh. So,
right.
like, it makes sense if you think about like the purpose of which some of these people are making their art. If you want art that you want to just sit down and be like, okay, hmm, I get it. But also, so here's my thing, right? I think
Hmm.
you hit the nail on the head. A lot of people complaining like, oh, there's so many rappers who have more skill that should be on the freshman list. Uh, and they list off all these underground rappers, and I'm like, I think the reason why they're on the freshman list, right? And is just the fact that they feel like they've proven, a lot of these people on here have already proven. I don't know, maybe except for like Kamaya, but a lot of
Hmm.
these people have already proven they have like they've had a hit song or a couple hit songs. They've already built a dedicated fan base like close to the millions for the most part,
Right.
and they're drawing from more of a spectrum, you know. And I think that's the thing with everybody, like every other freshman list before them. Like people don't understand this. Some generations the emphasis was more on skill, but the same thing was applying to them, right? Where it was like these people have built a fan base and they're just about to like pop. Like that's
Right.
why they're on the freshman list. The whole thing is like we're anticipating you becoming big. And that's irregardless of your skill level.
Yeah.
People forget that. That's not it's not that you're the most skillful rapper. It seems like people want them to break people who aren't getting enough shine in their heads, who are more skillful. But I think the people who do XXL, they're thinking we're looking for people who are like just at the cusp, except for like maybe like Playboy Cardi, who's like just has one song that I know
Hmm.
of.
Right.
But yeah, like
I yeah, I think it's they're I did make that modern artist reference. I think they're not quite at that level.
yeah, yeah. And we're back with the power of editing.
The power of editing. I got a phone call because we're recording on our phones and
Mhm.
didn't realize that we could have a do not disturb thing going. So
Yeah, yeah. We got it fixed though. It shouldn't be too
we
bad.
got it.
It just
Should be
might be a
fine.
jump in audio, but that explains it now. So we were
Hmm.
talking about modern art and how it relates back to rap.
Right, right.
Um,
And the thing I was getting at is that these guys and lady, they're not they're not at that level of modern artists because that's there are, like I said, there are good modern artists. There is good stuff out there,
mm.
but they're not at that extreme level of the sculpted feces and all this. That's straight just trash, right? They're not that. They're the in between of like an abstract artist with representational art. Like
Yeah, 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 yeah,
they're
yeah, yeah,
mixing
yeah.
things. They're like a Picasso or
Yeah,
a Gustav Klimt or Monet, Claude Monet, right?
yeah.
They're in
I think,
betweens. They're
I think the best one who might actually be a modern artist would be Little B. All praise the based god. If if any of you know him, even him though, even when he did the freshman thing, he proved that he was good at rapping
right,
or decent. So that was so like even then, like even when his songs are like full of crap or whatever, it's satirical. It's supposed to be like it's on purpose. Like he's not like being like trying to be deep by not making a good song. Um, so yeah, I get it. I think hip hop's in that stage. We've been around for a little bit, like 40 years. We're like, I think we're in like, I think Anthony Fantano, the Needle Drop, check him out, dope music reviewer. But he made the point of saying that he thinks hip hop might be in its punk rock
mm,
phase, where it's like the previous like this generation doesn't quite follow the rules as the previous generation.
right,
Like they're trying to do their own thing. Like they know about them, but like it's not too crazy, right?
right.
So yeah, I agree with that.
Yeah,
Um,
I'm personally I look forward to the mixture. Like I like
the cipher is gonna be
oh
because
I meant the
on top
I
on
meant the mixture
oh
of these different styles. Like in the future, these
oh yeah
artists
yeah yeah
doing
yeah
their
yeah.
thing down the line, right?
You know what's funny is my man Lil Yachty, y'all know Lil Boat. Uh, he uh he had an interview that I saw where he's like, "Yo, Kendrick is the greatest." I'm like, "What?" This guy's talking about how Kendrick's the greatest, and he talks about how Kendrick was like Kendrick understood him. He was like, when I listened to talk to Kendrick, Kendrick was like, here's the music you'd probably be into, and like listed it for me. And he was like, Kendrick is like literally knows everything about like hip hop, like. And I was just like that. That's the part that sold me when like I was like, oh, he was listing Little Yachty's influences before he heard Lil Yachty talk about it. Because he's like, I listen to your music, and this is probably what you're into.
Oh wow, yeah, that's pretty cool.
uh, so just that little tangent, and like back to the whole mixing. You think so? You're thinking you hear Kendrick Lamar, the most lyrical, spherical rapper on the planet, and he's just like, yeah, I get Lil Yachty.
Yeah,
Like like he understands his Lil Yachty's place in hip hop.
yeah,
He's like, there's a balance.
absolutely.
You can't be lyrical smearical all the time, but you also can't just be all fun and games all the time. It's like human life. There's a balance. And certain people have a certain function in the greater culture, right?
Right.
Um, so, eh, eh, I think that's where we're gonna sort of leave that for the most part.
Hmm.
Can't get too mad at somebody who's doing well, getting out of trouble, making music. If you don't like his music, you have 500 billion options. Like,
You really do though.
you're mad at something being popular, then just listen to something else that isn't popular or is just as popular and just as lyrical. Like, don't hate a person listening to something that you don't like. Like, just because of this or the other. Like, just low key, you can just like there's 7 billion people on this planet. Like, you'll be fine.
Yep.
Like, it's not that bad. It's not that bad, guys.
I
Um,
agree.
so do you want to talk about? Let's talk about that deep stuff. Let's get deep. Let's get deep.
Really deep. So we got to go not
Let's
just
get.
but
We're going. Yeah, we're
like
going 9 levels
like
deep, Inception
really,
style, dog.
really, really, really deep.
Like, is this a dream or is this reality deep?
This is
Um,
the end
like,
of the podcast where we talk about the deep art stuff.
yeah, we talk about if like the spinning at the end of Inception was proof that he was still in the dream or not. Uh, spoilers. It's an old
It
movie,
is. It
so
is. So it's not really.
at
It's
the
not spoilers at
it,
this point.
yeah, at this point, if you haven't gotten around to it, you're probably not gonna get around to it.
So learning to
Okay,
improve through scheduling and pacing.
man, this is one of those things that's easier said than done for me.
Yes.
Because I still struggle with it. Um, I guess I'll give an example. When I first started, I was like, I'm gonna post like every day to Instagram while still learning. And man, if you were to go to my Instagram and look back, like way back, I only had traditional before my friend who moved to California gave me his old tablet, bamboo tablet, which I still use to this day. Um, I did post for mostly every day, honestly. It sort of kept me accountable. It was good, but man, that ish was bad.
Hmm.
Scratchy lines everywhere. Not that I'm much better now, but scratchy lines everywhere. Perspective was off. Anatomy was bad. Ugh. 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 So yeah, there's that. Um, but I will say that scheduling helped me get into the mindset of like constantly working.
Right.
Um, which which is honestly just smart for anything you're trying to do in life. Period. Um, just because I think that the big expectation I struggled with this at the beginning was I wanted to get good quickly, and there's sort of ways to do it, honestly, but at the end of the day, you're just gonna have to resign yourself to the fact that this is gonna take years before you even get to anywhere near where you're where people you're looking up to and calling having your standard for are.
Yeah.
You feel like it's almost disrespectful to think like, man, this guy, like, if you really think about it, this guy has been drawing for 10 years. I'm gonna get there in a
In a
year.
year. Yeah.
What?
Mm-hmm.
What are you, bruh? That's like low key disrespectful to the guy you're looking at. Like,
it.
like you really think?
Yeah. It depends on who you're talking about. But yeah, if it's someone who has been, very dedicated, yeah,
Prolific.
and very resilient. They practice day in day out. They do studies. They master studies. They actually dissect people who are better than them. Experiment.
Mm-hmm.
All these things. Someone who's actually doing that stuff, and they're doing it for a decade. They're gonna be
Yeah.
really good. And
Yeah, they're gonna be freaking
and
great.
and to think that it's not going to take that long would be pretty insane. And I think that's kind of the first. It's not the first step, but it's a big
Mm-hmm.
step. And like when you come to
Yeah,
that point where you realize, okay, I'm just going to have to buckle down and work.
and just do it.
That's it.
And and like what Gary said, another Gary Vee quote, like it's gonna be one of those things where people are in their motivation isn't necessarily the I have to remind myself this every day where it's like if you're doing something for the end result, you're going to be so disappointed.
Hmm.
Like you have to like you can do something for the end result, obviously, like we're not saying not don't plan ahead, but you also got to be freaking in love with the process. You got to actually be like, I love just creating
Mm-hmm.
things. Like I just like art.
Yeah, and
Like
being okay with it not being so great. Sometimes the result may not be what you expected, but that's just where you're going to be for a while.
yeah, honestly. Um
And
That's dance, business, being sociable, talking to girls, just everything in life that is a skill. Just you gotta give it up. Like you're not gonna be great. Your first drawing, your first book, your first dance, your first is just gonna be
it's going to
bad.
be bad. It's going to be bad.
This is just
And I
and if and if and honestly, if you keep going and it's still the best thing you've done, it's probably a problem.
Yeah.
Honestly, if it isn't bad by the time 10 years comes down, you're like, did what happened?
Right. And once you decide that, so
Hmm.
and you've started to actually practice, you're drawing for a bit, you're doing whatever, uh you're going to come to the point like we were talking about where you have to start scheduling your time out and
Mm,
really
mm.
really coming up with a way to keep yourself on track so that
Especially if you have multiple interests like me,
yeah, or you have a job or you
uh,
have kids,
or a
whatever.
job.
you
Oh,
you have
that
you
bro.
have to you have to figure out your thing. And for me, I tried at first. I tried a few different, like, other people's schedules. I tried
Yeah.
Dave Raposa. He has a schedule that he posted somewhere. I
Hmm.
which I did for a while. I think I did it maybe a week, but it was at the
Mm.
time it was just so intensive for me. Like
It was
it,
so intense. I still have it as a background, but I don't even
yeah,
follow it. I just sort of look at it as inspiration, like, oh,
right,
I need to do
yeah.
more work, but I'm not like doing it as much
The
as he did. That guy
the
was
thing
insane.
the thing it was really tough at that time, but I've
Mm.
consistently gone back and tried to do something uh, which is the
Like off
equivalent
that
to that,
list.
right?
Yeah.
Like
Hmm.
I
Hmm. Hmm.
I
Hmm.
take what I'm doing now and I try to push myself to do, that to the same level, or maybe sometimes, more than what I've seen other people do. Not in the sense that I'm as good as them, but what I mean is, I'm trying to do more work in that same period of
Mm.
time. So, I think a simple thing I do now is I just wake up, do what I need to do. I take care of, my eating,
Yeah.
walking my dog, feeding my dog,
Mm.
coming back, and
Yeah. Yeah.
then
Yeah. Yeah.
making sure I'm ready for the day, and then I sit down and I work. And
Mm.
and I've tried for a while. I tried waking up, um, doing a master's study, then doing 50 or so thumbnails, and then
Mm.
doing a painting that I work on for the day. And that
Mm.
was actually the toughest thing I've done. And not not because I couldn't do it, but because I was doing so much that my hand was just killing me. Right?
Yeah, you gotta. Sometimes another little tip for artists: schedule breaks. A lot of artists we forget, and maybe because me and Kyle have done like physical stuff. I'm not insulting people that haven't, but like once you do like soccer or like a sport or like dancing, you especially with dancing, because dancing is also an art, but it's a lot more physical. You realize like you have to take care of this body
Mm-hmm.
so that your art doesn't suffer, and that's the same thing with the physical art. There's an artist named Bob Meatbag who came to this realization too. He was in a rut for a while, and then he just decided to like, you know what, I'm gonna schedule in more breaks. I'm gonna take care time to like take care of my arm and my flexibility and my motion. And he's like, after that, I started growing. Like I got better. Like taking care of your body actually in turn helps your mind.
Absolutely.
So always remember that.
Yeah.
Always remember
Yeah,
that.
that's why, like, I wasn't doing that for a while. I think it had been like 4 years or so since I had ever gone to the gym, because I was just, I was
Mm,
working, coaching and coming
mm,
back and drawing.
mm,
And it was simply
mm,
because at the time I was so bad. I couldn't
mm,
do anything else in my mind, right? In my mind, I couldn't
yeah,
do
yeah,
anything
yeah.
else. I didn't have time for anything else. But that's not true. I totally should have stayed working out. But now I schedule that in. I work in the mornings,
Mm,
and then I stop and I go work out. And then, and
mm-hmm.
then come back, clean up, and then, continue, right?
Yeah.
Because, man, after I go work out, I come back, I'm refreshed, I feel better.
Refreshed.
My
It's sort of like a meditative thing,
Yeah,
right? Because you're just like you're low key just like honing in and just working out stuff. Like, it's like those like little small moments where you don't really need to think too much, right?
right.
You feel me? Sort of like when you're in the shower sometimes, the bathroom, the toilet, the throne of ideas, as I call it.
Yeah.
Um,
And the thing about
or when you're
working
working
out,
out.
the thing about working out is
Or just straight up meditating.
Yeah, it's such a a one task thing. It's there. You're not multitasking while you're working out, so it's a very
True,
focused
true, true,
thing.
true.
Whereas,
Mm-hmm.
which is nice. It's a break from
Break.
drawing because if I'm like the
Yeah.
painting I'm working on right now, I'm thinking about 100 different things that I need to fix.
Think about the composition, the form, colors,
Right.
the story you're trying to tell with the painting.
Yeah.
Man, is that finger effed up? You're critiquing yourself mid painting the whole way through. You're like, you
Yeah.
know?
It's good.
Yeah. So I'm telling you, if you ever see me my process on drawings, I can't. Maybe I do have slight ADHD. I don't know. But I can't stay in one place on a painting. Like I'll work on like this eye for a little bit and be like, okay, I need to work on this bottom lip. Like, it's distracting me now. Like, then I'll go back to the eye. Then I'll go to somewhere else. Like until until I'm done with the painting overall. Basically.
Yeah, I think there's definitely like different reasons for that. I don't think it's just getting distracted by a thing. I think like sometimes
I don't think it's that. No.
Like so you see like
joke.
No, I got you. It's just like seeing, oh, there's a mistake there. Let me work on that. Or, oh, I can't figure this thing out. So let me let me work on something else because I don't want to deal with that right now.
I'm getting frustrated. Yeah.
That's definitely a thing. But I mean, now I'm getting to the point where because primarily I do like figure oriented stuff, so I'm mainly drawing people. So when I have a problem, I just reference it myself. I look in the mirror, take pictures, because
I need to probably start doing that.
That way I
low key
don't get that way I don't get so distracted, so I can stay on task.
Yo,
right?
My man's. I don't think you understand how much of a low key flex that was.
What?
Like, I just look in the mirror when I want anatomical reference, because
I didn't say that. I didn't say that. I did not say that. I don't go.
I know. But low key, you could have just like got off that, like you're like, because I've been working out,
Oh, come on. See, the thing about that is, I don't sit here and take my clothes off, man. I just take the picture.
Yeah, you don't want to put that into the female listeners' minds because then they'll start daydreaming about it.
Ha ha ha! Very funny. Very funny.
Hey, I'm telling you, dude, you changed my mind with that Twitter profile pic, dog.
Oh.
I was looking at it, I was just like, and that you were looking into there's a picture on Kyle's Twitter. I think it's fish gills on there as well. Right?
Yeah. All my stuff's fish gills.
It's his yeah. He's looking into a window, right? I had that same picture, but then I actually click on it and I'm like, this dude is buff. Like I could tell it's only an upper thing, but I can see from his neck to his traps, and I'm just like, this is some DBZ shit right here, dog.
Heck?
Like, I know. I'm like low key. I'm like, I'm calling up fish if I ever need muscle. If anybody's giving me problems, you gonna talk to fish and his baseball bat.
Oh
bro.
My gosh.
My homie my homie knows how to pitch, so you better be able to catch this fade.
Oh my god. There's so many reasons why that I know what you meant and how that works, but yes. There's some bad jokes I could make out of that reference just now.
Hey man.
Just saying.
I just wanted to let people know that you out here and you pitch.
Okay. Can you please stop? Because that's also another kind of joke. Do you pitch?
My boy is out here.
Hey. No. Oh.
My boy is out here. He can throw those hands.
Oh my gosh, you're insane.
I'm gonna keep it going. I could do this for years, dude. Not days, years.
So I think this is where we say, has Void been pacing himself correctly? Is he scheduling his time out, or is he getting distracted with talking about
with jokes?
My muscles.
Uh, the jokes I make out here do not affect my real life.
Yes.
I want that disclaimer. Um, but to be to be completely fair, just talking about my actual life. I have been like forcing myself. I will say I am sort of proud of this. I've forced myself for on Mondays to Friday. Like I go in completely. I think I still need to schedule myself a bit better
Mm-hmm.
on those, but for the most part, I'm a lot more productive than I usually would be. I usually would try to have done like something every day, and I did for a while, but then like I just like blow it off. Like it basically build up to a point where I'd be like, I need a week off.
Hmm.
So like I'm getting to a point where I'm like, okay, maybe I give myself weekends so I can be on a more consistent basis, which would be, excuse me, overall better for like if I'm posting stuff on, socials or whatever.
Right.
Um,
You,
other than that,
you
um,
know, a weird
ooh,
thing for me that I recently discovered, and this actually affects, how well I stay on task, is that
mm,
um, it was my like my mental state. For like you were saying you were
yes.
feeling pretty depressed lately. Dude, I don't
Oh
know
yeah,
how
yeah,
this
yeah,
works,
yeah.
but this past week, same, absolute same, and
Mm,
my productivity and studying
it's
took
dropped.
a hit, right? Like,
It's not even the, and it's before anybody's like, whoa, whoa, you the suicidal hotline. It's not like it's not that type of depressed. It's more like maybe not depressed is the right word. At least for me, it's more like maybe discouraged.
yeah,
You know, like because like I said, this whole topic is much easier said than done.
I
Um,
like to say you can feel the rain because here, when it rains
you can
for
feel the
it
rain. This boy was
it
bars.
rains for about a week here when it starts raining, and man, I'm
Oh
like, I
yeah,
haven't seen the sun in a few days. I'm a little upset
I
right
miss
now.
it.
Like,
I
it's
miss it.
like that.
Every time you look out the window, it feels like a sad "I want to get you back"
Yeah,
boy band cover.
yeah,
You're just like everything's in slow motion for a
yeah.
while. You just hear Justin Timberlake in a falsetto
Oh no. Oh man. But yeah,
singing Blue Ocean for.
it really does affect your ability to work. And
Yeah.
for
Mm-hmm.
me personally, I realized it was just me. It
Mm.
it wasn't a situation that was out of my control. It was purely
Yeah.
just my fault. Like, not like having the wrong outlook on things. Letting
Mm-hmm.
letting things
Mm-hmm.
get to me that
Mm-hmm.
shouldn't. You
Yeah. Yeah.
know,
Yeah. 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 Yeah.
like, it was just. And once I realized that, it was like, okay, I'm good. Like, there's.
Yeah. Yeah.
But
Yeah. Sometimes you just need to like check yourself before you wreck
yeah,
yourself. No, but
yeah.
and no, but I'm being completely serious. Other than that corny bar, um, basically you gotta like sometimes you gotta like. I guess the best way to I would say it is like coach yourself. Like you have to remove yourself from the situation, like in third person, and then be like, if you were to give your friend advice, if they were to describe to you like the situation you're
Hmm.
in, think of it as you're giving a friend advice, but it's actually just
Yeah.
you. Because I've realized I think this is coming off the video you showed me, Fish, where it was like the guy actually talked about it is like how for whatever reason we're better at giving other people advice than ourselves sometimes because our own emotions get in the way. So sometimes it's better to just take some time out of your day. Maybe just in general, just reflect off what every day reflect on what you can do better, what you're doing, and also reflect on what's good
Hmm.
and like sort of like a coach would. Like, okay, hey, you did this. Your form here was good. Just and maybe in general, form here was good. This, that, and the other, and just go through all the things you're interested in, whether it's your character or your art or whatever, and just realize and sort of put that in perspective. Because this is just like everything else in life. It is. This is a lifelong thing. Like you're never going to be done. If you actually love it, you're always going to be trying to push to be better in some form or fashion, whether it's quicker, faster, different ideas, more creative. You can't get discouraged because this road is basically eternal.
Yeah. And I think you kind of you hit a really important point, because there's some there's some old quote about it, but you were talking about reflection and how important that is. Like
Mm-hmm.
that is a part of learning and improving. Like
Mm, mm,
you can't just sit there and study all day. You
mm-hmm.
have to think back. You have to take a step back and look at what you worked on and be like, okay, so where am I doing things right? Where am I doing things wrong?
Mm,
Um, it's not just work. You
mm,
have to take a step back and figure out where you're at, you
mm.
know, in your improvement as well as your mentality, uh,
Yeah.
physically, like we said with working out.
Yeah.
Am
Yeah.
I kind of feeling like crap? Do I need to go outside and take a walk? Hang out with my
Oh, bro.
dog, whatever.
Just be in the
Yeah.
sunlight, dude. We need that fight is vitamin D, dude.
Mm-hmm.
Don't be deficient out here.
Yeah. Yeah. It's very, very important.
Um, yeah. Other than that, don't be. Oh, I was thinking about putting this up, but okay. So there's another artist. His name is George, also known as Red Cow, maybe also known as Burgundy Cow on his socials. Made a video game, made a VR
Mm-hmm.
game. Pretty good artist.
Yeah.
You remember this fish? Me and him sat down in one day, and we like, okay, off the premise of it takes the scientists say it takes about 10,000 hours to become a
Mm-hmm.
master. And we were thinking, okay, so I'm gonna throw out some terms here. So there's something called um, what art block, right? Which Fish and the rest of us got into an argument about this because, and I get it because we agree. We don't actually think art block in like the sense of, oh, I can't draw anything. Oh, that doesn't exist. You can always draw something. Whether it's you think it's dumb is your opinion, but you can always draw.
There's always something. There's
Like
always something to draw. But what?
that's
Yeah.
literally impossible for there not to be
But
something
what
to
you
draw.
were talking about was something completely different.
That where you feel dissatisfied,
Mm-hmm.
right? And me and not angry, but me and
George.
George or Red Cow, he, we had been talking about how like it seems that every once in a while you're progressing and progressing, and then you hit a plateau where you feel like you're not
Mm.
progressing and you everything's bad, and then after a while you break through that and then you keep going.
Yeah. I think that point you hit where you feel like you're not improving is the time when you
Mm-hmm.
need to study. It's
It's
because you're
okay.
producing too much. You're doing too much work that's just maybe you're doing a fan art of
I think that's
yeah, you're
me.
doing a fan art of something, you're doing like you're doing album covers. You're doing too much of finished work that doesn't include study. Like you have to take
Yeah.
that time out. Oh, and experiment. Obviously, that's the other part of it
Yeah.
because there's obviously a point where a lot of artists, and of course we're not there yet, not even close. But these
Of
artists
course.
reach where they are amazing at
Mm.
their anatomy's on point, their
A
perspective's
point
fantastic.
from memory.
It's all really good. So at that point, they have to just experiment, right?
Mm.
And maybe whether it's going
Kim
in
Jong Un.
whether it's going into more extreme perspectives like Kim Jong Un or going into more stylized things like
Mm.
there's one artist I follow on Instagram, but he has a very like sharp style, like it
Mm. Very like triangular shape
yeah,
language.
and everything, and it's like that point. It's that point that Psycher was talking about with his pointy chin style. Like he took
Pointy shins.
everything
Yeah.
2 pointy. Well, this guy
Yeah. Took
took
it
it,
like just
just
embraced it.
embraced it, and just went with it, right? And I
Nice.
can't remember his name, but that's the point where a lot of artists reach. So but we're not there. So it's when you feel like you're getting
I'm.
that, oh man, this stuff I'm doing, I'm not happy with this. It's time to study and
Mm.
experiment.
Yep. I think that I'm hitting that point right because I think in the schedule I've just been producing a lot. I've been doing art and stuff, and like it's been getting. And if I've been forced to do it faster than I usually
Mm-hmm.
do as well, which might add to the dissatisfaction where I'm like, if I had like a week, this could have been banging, but I had like 2 or 3 days.
Right.
So I think now my I think I've told you about this, and now I guess I'm just gonna get on my own personal soapbox. I guess I'm gonna have to practice not only accuracy but speed.
Hmm.
You
Yeah, you
know,
know what? This is one thing I think would be a good thing for you to try out since you
and anybody who's in this
a
a similar
similar
situation.
situation. Since you have to work so much, like you have a lot of work to do. Uh, Anthony Jones, he actually said that
Mm,
he would when he was working at Blizzard and whatever other companies he's worked for, he actually used to study, make his studies a part of
mm,
his work, and
mm,
also get his work done, and then just study while he's at work.
mm,
So
mm.
I mean, whether you can just um, you know make that make studies a part of your work, I think that would be a more doable thing. Like when you have a like let's say you have a painting of a person sitting at their desk and it's about to be
Mm.
nighttime. uh, well,
Yeah,
maybe that's the album cover. I'm just making the most
yeah, yeah, yeah,
obvious
yeah, yeah.
suggestion right now because that's what it is for probably both of us. But um,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
uh, so in that situation, instead of just drawing the thing from nowhere, then you would instead find reference, uh, maybe do some research on different desks you like and different you know it's not architecture, different you know
Ooh,
different
I'm thinking about the suggestions that you're
right, like
giving me, and I'm just
thinking
thinking about I would thumbnail the crap out of it because I've fallen in love with thumbnailing now.
right,
I'm just like it's so fun.
right,
Just general, it's like the funnest part of the I guess maybe the of the beginning stages for me is like because it's all big changes. It's just the blocking out things and like
mm-hmm.
erasing. Like I guess maybe for me the less fun part is like excuse me the less fun part is like the rendering
Mm.
where you're just sitting there for hours just being like
Yeah, I don't I don't mind it so much now.
uh,
But
yeah, maybe it's more meditative,
yeah,
but maybe the reason I'm annoyed with rendering is because now that I think about it, now that I'm reflecting, taking my own
uh
advice. Now that I'm reflecting, maybe it's because I get into the rendering stage too early before I get my blocking good.
yeah,
You understand me? So like, my anatomy's off here, and then I'm rendering something, and then I'm like, oh, I gotta
you
change,
still haven't
and then I
yeah,
have
I
to
still
black
haven't worked
out,
on that.
and then I have to take out all the rendering, re-block the anatomy, and then render again just for me to do it three more
Right.
times. And then I'm just like, I hate rendering.
The yeah, in regards to that, like I still I kind of realized this actually today because
Mm,
I'm painting a character from League of Legends, and
mm-hmm.
I was painting her hand, and I was like, I mean, I've actually I've done a lot of figure stuff, right? So
Yeah.
I've done enough hands at this point where okay, yeah, I can paint a hand, and I've done enough
Mm-hmm.
faces where I've done at this point I can paint a face,
And
and
I need to do all of
right,
those.
right. So what I was realizing as I was going through, I was like, man, this is. I was at first I was like, this is so great. Like, oh man, I can do this painting. And then I got to her armor, and then I got to her helmet, and I was like, oh wow, I suck again. But then I realized, oh, you know what
Mm.
it is? I've done a ton of faces. I've done a ton of hands. I haven't done any armor. So of course I can't render. Of course I
Yeah.
can't render the armor. I've never done it.
You got to do a
Yeah.
study. Yeah.
So I was like, okay, this is time to learn how to paint armor, right? It's just that
Mm.
it's that simple. I think the thing about rendering is it's just you haven't learned that subject well enough yet to go
Yeah.
mindless, right? Like
Yeah. Yeah. We all want, I guess maybe that's the thing about being a master that I so want, where you've ingrained it so much into your system and being. It's like, you can just veg out and just do something
yeah,
and it's great, so that frees you up, so maybe that's the exciting part for me, that why I want to be a master so bad is I look at them and they're like at that point where they're like, I can just experiment because my fundamentals are so strong, the only thing left for me to do is
yeah,
experiment.
and I guess maintain as well.
Yeah, and
Maintain,
maintain,
yeah.
so that so like that looks so exciting to me, and I'm like, I want to get there so bad. I want to get there so bad, but I'm like, I can't. I have to like pace
Right,
myself
pace yourself, because that's a part of what you were saying earlier.
because it's a marathon, not a
Yeah, you
sprint.
said earlier about whatever quote you're taking it from, but you said Gary Vee, I think. But you
Gary Vee,
have to
yeah,
be okay with where you're at, or else you're
the
just gonna
process.
beat yourself up, go crazy, whatever, however you want to word it. Like,
Hmm.
you're not gonna enjoy yourself, and you're probably gonna burn out, right? Like,
Every art, any road to improving on anything is just gonna be full of days where you don't. You're gonna have to. It's a hard thing to do. Anything, just anything. I'm not gonna anything. You're trying to get better in general. Just getting better is
yeah,
hard, and you're just gonna have to be like, you're just gonna have to love what you're doing so much that you're okay with it.
yeah, okay with
And
the tough
honestly, that's how.
times.
Honestly, and that's when I realized. I think that's part of the reason why I realized the top three things I loved. Right, where I was like, I knew I was sucking. I would frustrate it and I throw it away. And like for some people, I think that's where the first me and George going back to the whole chart where we were like at certain levels of hours you've put in, you get like you reach a certain rank. And I'll show you the chart. Maybe I'll show the chart one day if I can find it on my computer. But you basically get to a point where you're annoyed, and a lot of people at the first part they just leave. Like a lot of people start doodling and stuff, and they put in 50 hours, and that's like the first level of plateau, right? And then a lot of people, that's when they leave and never come back.
Yeah, I think that's like your average person, though. I don't think that's someone
Yeah,
who's
yeah,
actually
yeah. That's what
committed.
I'm saying.
Yeah,
That's like your average person, and they're like, "Oh, I'm not good at art, whatever," and it doesn't call them back. There was a period of time where I guess I got to a certain level like that in high school, and then I just stopped.
yeah.
And like a good 3 or 4 years, then I came
It
back.
the weird thing is, I think,
Same thing with dancing. Same thing with music. I got frustrated, left, but I couldn't stop myself from coming back. That's how I knew I was passionate about
hmm,
it.
yeah, I think most people who, except for the people who've been drawn since they were kids, whatever. That's not we're not
True.
those people, but for
No, no,
guys,
no, no.
people like us,
Yeah,
that we were all there. Like, I real
yeah.
I decided early on as a kid that I didn't have what it takes. I couldn't draw,
Hmm.
but of course that wasn't the case. Is just hadn't ever practiced, hadn't ever done it enough.
Hmm.
Just
Hmm.
stared at the how to draw books and never
Yeah.
actually drew the things in them. Just
Hmm.
looked on in envy and whatever. And but yeah, it's not
Oh,
that anymore.
and I will say this. I will say this. Just which I think really ties back into scheduling and pacing and getting better at art because people I think that note that we talked about, people giving up, um, especially when you have a schedule down and you don't feel like you're making any progress. There's a belief, especially within the arts, or a lot of things, right, that people feel that should, for whatever reason, feel that this should come naturally to people, and don't really see the amount of work that's put in with art. Like with football, you're like, oh, I. A lot of people are like, yeah, maybe I could have played pro if I'd like worked out all the
Yeah,
time, you know, or like eaten. So they see like the work that's put in that makes you that great. I don't think people see all the work that artists put in. Like they just assume one day they woke up and they spat on a page and Van Gogh's Starry Night appeared. Uh, and you have to understand, yes, talent exists, and the way I break down talent is maybe your a natural aptitude for something. You're you can learn this quicker than most. It becomes you're like, okay, I can learn. Like there's people who are naturally talented at just numbers, math. It's just it comes quickly
which
to
is
them.
still
But it's
debatable. All of it's debatable.
it's still debatable. It's the nurture versus nature
Yeah,
thing.
nature
But
versus nurture thing, right?
depending whatever side you're on there's still you still have to be like, okay, this seems at a young age this guy might be a little bit better at doing this for whatever
Maybe
reason.
they
We don't know
were
why.
exposed to it more than others.
Merlin, yeah, maybe. I do think maybe it might be slight bit of genetics, but I feel like with everything, it's a mixture of the two
Hmm.
things, right? Um, so with that, you have to understand that everything is a skill. Just because somebody might be better at learning at it doesn't mean like they're going to be better at
Yeah,
it.
and they won't stay better
You
at it most of
understand?
the time either.
Exactly. Yeah, sometimes it comes too easy and they stop doing it. And if you just keep going, you're going to be better than them. You're just going to be better than them eventually. Because everything is just a skill that can be learned. If you're willing to put enough time and effort and consistency, everything is a skill.
Yep.
Underwater basket weaving is a skill.
Under what?
That is a course in colleges, my friend. Look it up.
Okay, underwater basket. I kind of
I actually
want to see
sort of
this.
want to
Yes,
see.
I
Go
want to
ahead.
see what this
Go
is.
ahead.
Oh no, I'm just saying I want to see what underwater basket weaving is.
Yeah, I know. It's gonna be great, isn't it?
Uh,
Everything everything is a skill. So don't be discouraged. And also, if you do have talent, don't rely on it
yeah.
because some MFer, like in Naruto, for Naruto is a perfect example. Naruto, I'm nerdy. I'm nerdy as heck, so I'm gonna make anime references. Or just most shonen in general. The main character is usually not that great at something, but what the main character is actually really good at is working hard,
Mhm.
and that's the thing that's supposed to rile you up. Like, yes, I can do better. Because there's usually an antithesis where somebody's like naturally good at something, and the main character is just I suck, but I'm gonna work hard and study and sweat my balls out until I'm like the greatest person on the
Yep.
field. So it's the same sort of idea.
You're getting
Um,
me
and I
excited
think
just talking about Naruto right now, and oh.
I know, right? Shonen is just good at hyping you up to become a better person, better at your own personal
Yeah.
goals. I think that's one of the great purposes of shonen. Um, um, and then great, and then as well as I think another thing is passion. There are people who are talented at it. Like for example, going back to the numbers thing, some guy you might be great at numbers, but you might not care that you're great at
Yeah.
numbers.
Yeah.
Sadly, your passion might be something you're horrible at. Trust me, if it's your passion,
And
your potential of being greater in that is going to be much greater than what you're naturally already gifted in.
yeah, and I think we can save this for like a longer talk, but
Oh,
I
true.
think I think where passion starts is interest though, because like
Mm-hmm.
even
Mm-hmm.
like at the beginning, I remember I was not passionate about art. It was an
Mm.
interest. It started out as an interest, and that's okay.
Yeah, I feel like
It's
it's the same for
yeah, I
everybody.
think passion is something that grows, but again,
Mm.
we can go deeper on that at another
Oh,
time.
thank you for creating another deep subject. Uh, but yeah. I guess that's it. We talked a lot, dude. Bruh, it's been almost two
Has it
hours.
really?
Um, Yo, we went
We
in,
may have
dude.
to break this up. Just
Like side A, side B.
hey, I like the way you set. We just XXL talk about
I mean,
mixtapes, side A,
yeah,
side B. Uh,
I got that from shout out to the uh Clock Radio speakers because it's a rapper and a producer. So they came up with that because they usually have like long episodes
oh,
and they go side A, side B. So of course the music guys would come up
of
with that
course.
for them.
Yeah, and
So I was just like, I'll just take
I
that.
love that the cassette tape reference. I love that.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. So I got to shout out I always shout out people that you're drawing from. So shout outs to Armand Wake Up and Doc uh, Doc underscore Beats. S not a Z.
Yeah.
Follow them on their Twitters. Tell them that Fish and Phil from Clueless Critics podcast sent you.
Hey,
They don't know who we
hey,
are, but we like
hey,
them.
exactly. As well as any artist that we've followed on YouTube for a long time. Anthony Jones,
Yes.
Sycra, Bob Meatbag.
Sycra. Ooh,
We
Bob
we talked
Meatbag.
about
Ooh.
all these guys.
Ahmed
Ahmed Al
Al-Douri.
Duri, you know,
Ahmedaldoori.
yes.
That guy. That guy's great.
All these people, Cynics Designs, dude.
So cynics.
We owe a lot of what we've learned to people like that. Those guys,
Like
yeah,
them. And a lot more that
and a lot more will continue
just
to
one
learn, and more people than just that, of course.
yeah, a lot of one-off things that you just hear from other people. That's just
Mm-hmm.
wisdom, you know. Um,
Absolutely.
so I get so yeah, that's the Clueless Critics podcast. You know, where we critique, review, and analyze what we may not be qualified to criticize.
Mm-hmm.
See you next time,
See you
guys.
later.